Okay, another Patreon request. This is the Karate Kid. This is from my Uncle Paul. My Uncle Paul is the guy who raised me. He's basically my dad. I shared a room with him and up until 8th grade. Then he got married and he moved out with his family and made a family of his own. But so yeah, my Uncle Paul's a big reason why I love movies. And yeah, he's my dad. And sorry that this video took so long. And I was having trouble with this because he asked me to do the Karate Kid. I knew he grew up with it. I hadn't seen the Karate Kid. There used to be the show on the VH1 called I Love the 80s, and they had people who grew up in the 80s talking about it. So they talked about the Karate Kid. It was the highest grossing movie of 1984. So it's a big deal. And so I knew what happened in it, but I didn't watch it. And then I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, I just said, let me give a Cobra Kai, the show, a chance. And I sat there and I watched the entire the entire season 1 in one sitting. And I was like, fuck, I gotta buy Karate Kid on Blu-ray. So I bought Karate Kid on Blu-ray. And then I don't know, maybe a month or two later, my uncle told me I want the Karate Kid, and I was like, okay, cool. I just watched it. But then I was like, I'm gonna have to rewatch it again. I didn't take notes because I gotta take notes when I review a movie. I was like, I gotta watch it again. I just watched the movie, so I kind of took a break. I said, I'll wait to this last. I'll save this for last on the Patreon request because I didn't want to rewatch it right then. But also, I was kind of thinking, I was like, I don't really know what to say. Like, I really enjoy this movie. It's a really well-made movie, but I really didn't know what to say. Well, I got some facts, some trivia, I guess, that I think are interesting. It's the director. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's John Avildsen. He passed away a couple years ago, but he directed the first Rocky. He directed all the Karate Kids, and I know he directed Rocky Part 5, but he directed the very first Rocky. And this movie is a lot like Rocky, kind of like an uplifting movie about someone getting stronger and like learning their craft of their physical sport. And a cool music montage. I've always liked Ralph Macchio. He did one episode of Entourage where he's at the Playboy Mansion with Kevin Dillon, and I always loved that. But I always know him as Johnny Boy from The Outsiders. I grew up with The Outsiders. But yeah, I was listening to Charlie Sheen do a podcast, and he said that he was originally casted as the Karate Kid, but he had signed on already. He had just signed on to do this like nothing movie called Grizzly Bear Part 2, some like really cheap horror movie. And his dad, Martin Sheen, told him, he was like, I think I'm gonna fucking just bail out. I'll fucking fuck my contract with them. What are they gonna really do? I gotta do Karate Kid. It'll be bigger. And his dad told him, you're only as good in this city or in this town as your word. Do not back down. You'll get another movie. Just do Grizzly Part 2. Don't do the Karate Kid. And he was like, fucking thanks a lot, Dad. But hey, he got Wall Street and Platoon after, and Charlie Sheen did pretty fucking good for himself. So yeah. Another thing is the guy who plays Kreese, he's in the original Last House on the Left. And I love Last House on the Left. He plays like the dumb, just like younger sheriff, like the sheriff's assistant. And I was watching it this time. I was like, that guy looks so familiar. And I was like, oh my God, he's in Last House on the Left. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I fucking love The Last House on the Left. I was listening to a Bill Hader podcast on Mark Maron's What the Fuck podcast. And he said his very first celebrity encounter was with the guy who played Kreese, and the story was so funny. And you guys should just look it up. That whole interview is so good. But basically, I don't know, Kreese. You should just watch that whole that whole podcast with Bill Hader. But yes, that was his first celebrity encounter, and it's just a crazy ass story. I'm not going to get into it, and I'm not going to cut into it because it's going to take too long. But it's a really funny story. If you haven't heard it, check out that podcast. Also, talking about the Mark Maron podcast, he also interviewed William Zabka, who plays Johnny, and I was so impressed by that interview. He was so well spoken and intelligent, and they talked a long time about how he made this short movie, and I don't want to ruin it, but it's like one of the most expensive short movies ever made, and it got nominated for an Academy Award, and he made it on film just because it was just this crazy movie he filmed in like Eastern Europe. It's called Most. I don't want to give it away, but it's a melodrama, and it was very dramatic and sad, and it was like, holy shit, it just had this huge passion project, and he put so much money into making this short movie. I really recommend watching it. It's on YouTube. It's called Most. But William Zabka, he really impressed me. I didn't know because I know he was in The Equalizer and he was in Hot Tub Time Machine, and the guys who wrote Hot Tub Time Machine also wrote Cobra Kai. I always know him from Back to School and Just One of the Guys, and he's the same character. And in this Karate Kid, he's the same guy, and he even talks about that. He was like, I'm just playing the same fucking guy because he did so great in the Karate Kid, and that was his second. That was basically his first character. He did like a little TV show, barely nothing. But his dad was in the entertainment business, so he was on sets his entire life, and just got lucky. His second job was the Karate Kid. It's one of the biggest movies of the 1980s. Come on, it's an incredibly popular movie, and it's powerful. It's part of pop culture. Oh, first off, what do you guys think of this new shot? I got a new TV unit because I got a new 75-inch 4K TV, and it was on the floor, but I put a TV unit today, so I couldn't put the camera the same because it's taking up so much room. So what do you guys think of this shot? I was kind of worried, but I kind of like it now. Now you can see all my movies. It's just, you can see my Gummo poster. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I don't know, just watching this movie, the notes that I took down was like, what the hell's up with Daniel's shower costume? I thought that was weird. That's a weird costume. And then it was really nice, the golf and stuff, because I had a place like that, the golf and stuff, where it was, now it's called Boomers, but before it was called Rocky and Bullwinkle's, where they had the water ride like that. And if I remember, my uncle told me he went there as a kid too. There's just places like that, and you like at your first date, and it's really, I like the romance stuff with Elizabeth Shue. It's well casted, and she's a great actress, and she does some great stuff too. I always think about her from Leaving Las Vegas and Hamlet Part 2, the comedy Hamlet Part 2. That movie's fucking funny. She plays herself. But yeah, the romance story is really good. Yeah, Daniel asked for that beating when he put the water on them. Johnny was just smoking a J, and he wanted to fucking show off to Elizabeth Shue. He asked for that beating. So but yeah, if Mr. Miyagi didn't save him, he might have killed him. Like, he was already beating him to a pulp, and the guy was just like. But I'd be fucking pissed off too, man. I'd be pissed off too if I was Johnny. So but Johnny took it too far, and he was gonna take it farther. Mr. Miyagi. So you could argue that Mr. Miyagi beats the living shit out of fucking teenagers. It's like, holy shit, but he was defending that kid, and you can make the argument though that like. This guy can go to jail. He can go to jail for this shit. How does a maintenance guy have all those cars? He has a whole fucking. He's like a millionaire, but he's the maintenance guy at that little apartment complex. I haven't seen Part 2. I know Part 2 takes place in China. The only reason why I know anything about Part 2 is because of Cobra Kai. But maybe they explain where he has his money. But why would he keep doing the maintenance job? Why would he live in his apartment? I don't know. Maybe they explain it. But I'm gonna buy Part 2 on 4K soon. Why are Allie's friend, Elizabeth Shue's friend, such a bitch to Daniel when he's like trying to talk to her? I guess because she's mad at him. But I was just kind of thinking like, why are they such a bitch? I think they like Johnny. They want her to be with Johnny because Johnny's popular. Miyagi, the scene that makes me real laugh is it's a great scene and it's long. The Mr. Miyagi when he's drunk singing, that's funny. But then you find out that his wife died during childbirth, so it makes sense that he protects Daniel and becomes a father figure. It's also a great scene because Daniel really starts to mature because so far he's kind of been like a selfish brat, like which is kind of common for teenagers. But he really only cares about himself. He doesn't care about his mom being happy. But he looks at the bigger picture once he knows Mr. Miyagi's wife and child died. He looks at the bigger picture and he kind of realizes he has like he grows up a little bit in that scene where he's like, you know what, it's not all about me. Like the whole world doesn't revolve around me. And it's just it's a long played scene when Mr. Miyagi passes out and he puts out the candle and he smiles for him. It's just a very well played scene and it doesn't keep cutting back and forth. There's something about it that they just let this camera sit. And it was just these two great actors with two great characters and a great scene and great writing and something about it. It was just very simple, but everything worked. Everything worked in that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes. Mr. Miyagi, he's a great character. He's a larger-than-life character, but he's very real. I didn't grow up with this movie, but thousands, maybe even millions, millions of people did. And it's part of their childhood because Daniel's character is very relatable. And it just taps into that mentor relationship everyone wants with Mr. Miyagi. But it also shows you to choose the right mentor because Johnny wanted a mentor too. That's what's so great. But he chose Kreese, and you see Kreese. If you gotta watch Cobra Kai. If you haven't seen Cobra Kai, what the fuck are you doing even watching this review? But Johnny was looking for a mentor too. You see his history with his stepdad, and he just chose the wrong mentor. And Daniel got lucky; he chose the right mentor. And am I saying that right? Mentor? I feel like I hate talking without a script. I just hate my speech. And I think everybody tries to get a mentor, and everybody looks for one, and not everybody finds one. Sometimes people find the right one. Sometimes people find the wrong one. And when you're young, a teenager, you're very impressionable, you know, and you look for people, and yeah, like this movie's relatable. Okay, if I had to pick some flaws, it would be that Johnny and Creasy's character are almost one-dimensional, but they serve the story perfectly, but it's kind of like, I want more of them. But that's what Cobra Kai, it completely humanizes them, and it gives them their backstory. Some may say too much of a backstory. I've heard people complain about Creasy's backstory, but it humanizes them for me. And like the only flaw in this movie is that I don't get enough of those characters, because they are really interesting characters, and Cobra Kai gives you everything. And it's so great how it starts off with Johnny, man. And honestly, I love Cobra Kai much more than I love this movie. And I'm not sure if I would say I love this movie, but it's a great fucking movie. It's a great movie. But Cobra Kai, it's just, there's something so great about it. I'm so glad they made that show, and it's doing great, and I can see why it's doing great. It's just a great fucking show, and it's just going back to these characters. I can't even imagine how people who grew up with this movie are watching that show. They must be having so much fun. I barely knew the characters. I knew who they were. Like, I knew that Daniel does the crane kick, and he does that kick and he kicks him in the face. I know that he won. I know that he stole Elizabeth's shoe from Johnny, and I remember Johnny was the same character he was in Back to School and Just One of the Guys. But that's it. And I know Mr. Miyagi. Everybody does a wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. But that's pretty much all I knew, because it's part of pulp culture. It is. But I was having so much fun with Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai, and I really like this movie. Yeah, like I said, it's a great movie, and it's probably going to live forever. And yeah. So I want to thank my Uncle Paul. I'm sorry that this video took so long, and I'm sorry that this video is so short. But this movie, I don't know. It's hard for me to dive in. Even some movies that I really love, it's really hard for me to dive into them. But I hope you're happy with this, Paul. I really appreciate you, and I love you. You've done so much for me. And everybody, if you want me to review a movie, any movie you want, you can join my Patreon. I'm going to leave a link on the description, and it would really mean a lot to me if you guys wanted to support me, because I put a lot of time in these videos. You know, I'll review any movie for you. You guys know how YouTube works. If you like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel, and you can follow me on Instagram at cinemajunkies_. Don't forget the underscore.